What's going on, bottom line viewers? It's Mitch here with the one, the only Kevole and also Dilly Vanilli. And we are here to discuss the New York Jets. The Jets, Jets. And Dylan would say last year, lose, lose, lose. But actually, they exceeded expectations by a mile last year, as Dylan himself had the Jets going 0-16 in
1-15. 1-15.
Okay, 1-15. He had them beating the Browns, which was a good pick because the Browns were the worst team of all time last year. Fair enough. Yeah. Okay. I feel are a candidate to say surprise some people this year. I think, and I have faith in Mr. Todd Bowles as the coach, because he did a very good job last year with the New York Jets, going 6-10, I believe it was, when, again, like I stated, a lot of people thought the Jets were going to flat out stink, and they exceeded expectations. And I think this roster is better than people think. And we've been discussing this throughout the offseason with the running back core videos and the wide receiver core, especially that video where I talked about this wide receiver core and the talent on this team. I think it's sneaky. I think it's underrated. We start off on offense. I think the quarterback, just from that standpoint, it's rather going to be McCown, who hopefully is playing at the same level as last year, or it's going to be an upgrade because you have Teddy Bridgewater or Sam Darnold, who, if they're better than McCown, it's going to be an upgrade just by default. And then you have the defense, the rest of the offense, which Isaiah Crowell fills in for the running back. Whatever. He's decent. He's decent. He's a starting running back, so fair enough. But they don't have bad running backs there. Bilal Powell, McGuire, not a bad stable of running backs. Offensive line is fine. They did lose Austin Seferian-Jenkins at tight end, but I like to go to the wide receivers on this offense because they have Robbie Anderson, very underrated, had 1,000 yards last year. Quincy Enunwa had 900 yards the year before. He's back. They have Curse as well, who had a good season for himself, best of his career, I believe, last year for the Jets. So they have three receivers, pretty good. Terrell Pryor's posting some videos on Instagram. He looks pretty good in the offseason. Big offseason, so that's good for him. The defense, I think this is the unit that I really like. I believe I ranked them 15th or 14th in my ranking every defense. The defensive line is pretty solid. They are definitely good against the run with Williams and McClendon on the defensive line. The linebackers are the weakest part of their defense, but they did replace Demario Davis with Williamson from the Titans, so that's pretty much a fair trade-off. It's going to be interesting to see if Darren Lee can kind of upgrade his play because he was a high draft pick that hasn't really come into his own yet, but if he does, it will help. And their secondary is really, really strong. Jamal Adams is really good. Marcus May is really good. And then the corners, Tremaine Johnson is definitely going to upgrade there. Claiborne is solid. And I think the Jets are going to be an improved football team. I don't see them going to the playoffs, but I think they're going to be improved. And the second best team in the AFC East, I have them at 7-9. Go ahead, Dilly Vanilli.
Not very high on the Jets.
You're not high on any AFC East team. Does one team has to win some games, bro?
Bro, I don't have them winning. I feel like the Jets have the biggest upside of anybody else in the AFC East, but I don't see that much coming out here. Okay, I don't see them.
That's fair, but I mean, are all your teams going to have less than 5 wins?
Well, Jets have 5.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
Okay, look at the schedule that they got to play, right? They got to play I don't think they're going to beat the Lions. They might win against the Dolphins and the Browns. Jaguars. They got to play the Vikings. They got to play the Bears, Patriots, Titans, Texans, Packers, Patriots again. I don't think this is a very good team. I feel like there's some underrated parts to it, some good aspects to it, but I just don't see this team overcoming what is the AFC 6th spot in terms of the AFC playoff spot in the 6th seed. Even if we're going to go to the expectations of 7-9 or 8-8, I don't know what Kevole's got them. I feel like there's 3 or 4 other teams in that conversation that have more leverage than the Jets. In terms of their skill set and everything, in terms of their offense, quarterback situation, I'm a big fan of. Josh McCown, I did like last season. I thought he was pretty fun to watch, but I don't really know how old he is. I think he's like 38, 39 now. That's going to be something. If you go to a different quarterback, Teddy Bridgewater, hasn't played in 2 years. Love Teddy Bridgewater, especially being as my Vikings being the second team and whatnot. But we haven't seen what he's been on the football field. And I think Sam Darnold is overrated as hell. I think he is the most overrated quarterback in this draft class. That's just my opinion. You can argue with me in the comments.
No, I agree, but I still think Sam Darnold is a decent player. Like, even when I said Sam Darnold was not the best quarterback in this class, I still thought he was a decent NFL quarterback. So that being said, and I don't even know if he's going to play. I actually think it's going to be McCown or Bridgewater that actually ends up playing. And if they don't, I think it's, maybe Darnold is that good and they end up starting him over those two. So
I don't see a lot of high ceiling for him, especially that fumble thing that was going on in 2017 that really didn't help me watch any more football games personally against him. In terms of receivers, Mitch likes them. I don't know how to speak English today, but I think there's some decent talent there. Of course, Curse is great. Robbie Anderson's good, and Quincy Enunwa is all right. In terms of running backs, I'm not a fan of the running back core whatsoever. Bilal Paul is whatever. I think Crowell was pretty overrated, to be honest. Thomas Rawls, Seahawks guy there. He had about a good three-game stretch in 2016. Was that the year? Yeah, I think it was 2016. In terms of the defense, I like some of the stuff on defense, especially Jamal Adams. I think I had him on like second or third defensive player of the year in 2017, or rookie defensive player of the year. That didn't go out that well, but I still think he's a good player. Marcus May, I like a free safety. Tremaine Johnson, obviously a big signing for them. I know they like that, but they're losing Mo Wilkerson on defense as well, so that's going to take away some factors in there. I think they'll have some good wins, and like I said, I feel like they have maybe just want to get that Patriots victory in Week 17 to ruin their playoffs and their seeding and whatnot. But in terms of an overall complete team, I don't think that there's a lot for me to say here. I feel like their ceiling is going to be 7-9, but I personally had them at 5-11. Just combined with the schedule and the fact that I don't think this team is very strong, specifically, on offense, I don't think there's a lot for me to be hopeful about. If they prove me wrong, that's cool. That's what I've said about every team, and especially also with draft picks. But I'm just not high on this Jets team. I do have them second in the AFC East, though, at 5-11.
Well, let's look at their schedule. So they start Monday night against the Lions, the next Sunday against Miami, and a Thursday night game against Cleveland. I thought that was a Sunday night game. I was like, for the love of Pete. And
no, they still put a shit game on Thursday.
They legitimately can start 4-2. And I look at this. I think I look at this team. They already have 4 wins because they can sweep the Dolphins and the Bills. So, and that's 4. And I think they got 2 kind of gimme wins at the start. They can start 3-0. So you look at them. There's 6 wins. So what they need to do, they need to go 3-7 in their other 10 games to have a legitimate shot at making the playoffs. And I do think they have a legitimate shot at making the playoffs. I like their secondary. I think the acquisition of Tremaine Johnson and Jamal Adams a year ago makes them solid. I think Josh McCown is a dependable quarterback in the National Football League. Is he a superstar quarterback? No, but he can get the job done. He's taken some pretty mediocre teams and has done pretty well with them. Mitch mentioned the receiving core. I think their receiving core is pretty strong with him. You guys already talked about that. Their running backs, I'm not entirely a big fan. I think McGuire will end up being the running back on this team going forward. Their secondary is good. I kind of see. They're not going to make the playoffs, but I do have them at 8-8. I think that they're going to be an 8-8 team that is going to compete for the last couple of weeks for a playoff spot. There's a lot of teams in the AFC that are not that good, and the Jets have maybe in some other years we would look at the Jets and say, yeah, they're 5-0. They're a 5-11 team. But I look at this Jets team in comparison to some other AFC teams around. I think they're much better than the Bengals. I think they're on par with the Broncos right now. I think they're certainly better than the Raiders. They're better than the Browns.
What? What? You think they're better than the Raiders? You think they're better than the Raiders?
100%.
What?
100%.
What are you on? Where have you been living? What do you mean?
Right now in Kamloops, British Columbia, but I do.
You're not in North. I mean, you are in North America, but you're not in America. What better than the Raiders?
Yeah,
Explain to me why.
The Raiders,
Explain to me why they're better than the Raiders.
The Raiders are 967 years old.
Bro, you always think the Raiders are trash.
Because they are.
This has been a stigma. This has been a stigma for years. This is not just this season. This has been a stigma.
Trash.
Kevole, they don't even have Michael Crabtree anymore. How are you hating on him like this?
How can you possibly hate him?
Yeah, I know.
Your most overrated receiver's gone to Baltimore.
Anyways, this is about the Jets, and I do agree with Kevole. They are going to start the season somewhere around 4-2. I had that exact same thing. Look at this. This is not. I have my thing right here. See, it says week 5, week 6. This is where I wrote out all the winners right here. You see all those games there? I put the Jets at 4-2 to start the season. So I completely agree with Kevole, but I don't see them quite going that far in being a borderline playoff team. But I do think that they are a decent team that will surprise some people in the NFL and the fans and the teams. And I think they're going to win some games that people don't expect. And I think they're going to be a very hard team to pick their games, because one week it's going to be like, oh my God, the Jets are great. And then the other week it's going to be like, what? They just sucked this game. So that's the way the Jets are going to be playing, I think, in 2018. Let us know what you guys think. Are you on the side of Kevole? Are you more in the middle like me? Or are you on Dylan's side? Are you thinking they're trash? So let us know in the comment section below. Hit the like button and subscribe for more Bottom Line View. Peace out, guys.